Hi and welcome to another video. We're going to talk about the Sage Barista Express, what I think about it after 3 months of use.
Before we talk about the Sage Barista Express, let's go over a little bit of a few details about the background and why I like this machine. I pretty much started out with my coffee drinking experience with a few different select machines such as an espresso machine, Tassimo, a filter coffee machine, a AeroPress, which are very popular, instant coffee, never go back there again, and quite a few select, coffee making pieces of equipment. I was looking for something which basically I couldn't find in anything else I've experienced before. And it turns out what I was looking for was this, because this closely replicates the experience and the quality you get when you go into a coffee shop. You can't really improve upon this kind of system. Sure, you can get better machines, but you can't really improve upon this kind of system where you grind your beans instantly to the correct amount with the correct pressure and give yourself the correct dose to exactly what you're looking for. It's strange to think that looking back, when I tried to get the best coffee experience at home, I would try and get filter coffee or I would try and get an espresso machine. Now, these ways of getting a great coffee at home are pretty good, let's be honest, but this outshines them all. And my wife and my mother would come round and ask for an espresso machine or a filter coffee. Now they've all been converted to this machine because it gives a superior taste. Before I purchased this machine, I would use an espresso machine, as I've got in the background, and I would also use a filter coffee machine. Now, I leaned towards the filter coffee machine because it gave a pretty good taste for a good price, because when you drink coffee like I do, you do spend a little bit on coffee. So you try and get value for money there. There are a few disadvantages with a filter machine. It takes a while for you to get a drinkable cup of coffee out of the pot using the coffee. They also use quite a large volume of coffee, and some coffee does get wasted. If you're not going to drink all the coffee, you're basically filtering through all the coffee into the pot. Some might get wasted, and like I say, you don't always extract the best you can out of the coffee bean. I do like the taste of Espresso, but they are quite expensive. I actually worked out that when I purchased the beans compared to the Nespresso capsules, I could get the beans 5 times cheaper than I could from Nespresso. To me, this is a real advantage of using this type of machine. Now, sadly, this machine does cost round about 4 to 5 times more than an espresso machine. But I'm in it for the long term and I want the best I can get at home. And I think I found it with this machine. When you set up this machine for the first time, you're going to go through a little bit of a learning curve. It's quite easy to set up and the instructions are, very easy to follow, but in order to adjust it to your type of coffee drinking, you need to experiment with it quite a bit. Now, this means using different amounts of coffee, using the different sizes of coffee, such as a single or a double, adjusting the grind size, the type of bean you're using, the type of pressure you're going for, and also how much water you pass through the beans, etc., etc. Now, because I like a bit of a large coffee, I always put it on the double setting and do a fairly large extraction, because I like to emulate my filter coffee experience on most days so I don't get overloaded with caffeine, and I sip that gradually throughout the day. So when you do get to that point where you are quite comfortable with your handling of the machine and what you're getting out of it, it's really, you get to that realization where you think, yeah, this truly is the best coffee you can get at home, really. Yeah, it might not be the best machine that you can purchase for home, because some machines cost thousands and thousands, but it's in that sweet spot where it's expensive, but it's not too expensive, and you'd really get the best quality out with each cup. And once you do find that fine balance of the amount of coffee you put in, the grind, the amount of water you pass through, it really turns into one of the best coffee machines you could actually buy. So now we can go through some of the best features that you can find on the Sage Barista Express. One of the features I do like the best is the hot water dispenser, which gives you instant hot water when you need it, if you want to add more water to your coffee. This really comes in handy depending on how much coffee you extract initially from the beans and what kind of mood you're in as well, because sometimes you want a quick, strong coffee if you're going to rush out the door, or sometimes you want a tall coffee where you just want to sit that and get your work done. The Sage Barista Express is pretty easy to clean. All you have to do is to take out this compartment, which does fill up with water over time, empty it out into the sink, give it a quick wash down, disassemble the certain sections, because you do get coffee granules collecting on there. Basically give it a good scrub, rinse it out, put it back together, put it back in. It's quite easy to fill as well with coffee and with water. You basically just take off the top, put the coffee in again, put it back on. Done. To fill the water, there's a compartment at the back, which is a maximum of 2 litres, which you get the handle up, pull it off, put it directly under the tap, which is great because sometimes you have to pour water into other machines and you can't detach this, but with this obviously you can. Put it under the tap, put it back on the back, put the handle down, make sure it's all nice and secure, and you're ready to go. Here are my top tips which I've learnt from using the Sage Barista Express for 3 months. When you are grinding your beans, there is a setting on here which gives you a dial and how much you can grind or how much you can get out of the hopper on each try. When you put this in, there are 2 settings on here. You can basically press it in once and it will grind the beans for you to the specified amount, or you can press and hold and it will grind the beans for you until you release. I find the best way to extract beans is to press and release with a small amount on the dial, which fills it up for you. After that point, tamper it down and then judge by your eye how much more you need. Put it back under and then press and hold and then check how much you need and then release. Tamper it down and then it's ready for the extraction. When doing the extraction from the grind, I always try and get it in the middle range of the espresso range. As you can see, there is like a middle section. I always try and get it into there. Now, depending on where you get it on the dial, depends on the amount of coffee in there, the amount of pressure you apply to the coffee once it's in, and also the grind size. Now, if you're experiencing bits that say, oh, it's too low or it's too high, it's a bit of a learning curve. Like I say, you just need to adjust the amount of pressure, the grind size, and the amount of coffee. If it's too high, you've either got too much pressure, too much coffee, or too fine of a grind. If it's too low, you've either got not enough pressure on the tampering, or the grind is too coarse, or there's not enough coffee in there. So, bit of a learning curve, experiment, and you'll get the best cup of coffee soon. When you are ready for the extraction process, you simply put it under, lock it in place. Now this does get loosened up over time, which is a good thing, because on your first try it is quite stiff. So you kind of get it in there easily over time, which is good. It's not loose by any means, it's just it gets a bit easier, which is great. When you are ready for the extraction process, as we all know, you simply just press the button depending on which size cup you've got, either a single or a double. I always use double. So press the double button, it starts the extraction. At this point, once it does the pre-infusion, which means it basically wets the beans a bit ready for extraction, then it will go to the extraction process. Now just keep an eye on this and think whereabouts is it on the dial, because the correct amount of pressure is crucial for getting the best flavour out of the beans. So like I say, try and aim for the top section here. I always try and go for the middle. Now depending on your taste and what type of coffee you like, you could go for another extraction again to get a little bit more coffee out of the beans. Generally speaking, most of the coffee's already been extracted, and a lot of people don't like to do this, but I do, so it all depends on your personal preference. So at this point I simply press the button again and get another extraction. Yeah, it's going to be weaker, but it makes for a longer, taller, more diluted coffee, if it's that kind of thing you want. Now, because I'm a bit of a coffee geek, I actually measure how much I extract on the hot water. Another great feature about this machine is it actually does instant hot water to top up your coffee depending on how much coffee you like. So once I've done the extraction, I will empty it into an I love tea mug because I love coffee. Crazy. I'd empty it in there and then put it back under, and using the knob on the right, which is either your steam or your hot water knob, I then press it forward, extract how much I like, and then put it back in the middle to stop it. So let's talk about build quality. It's really great. It could be a little better, but I think for the price point, I think it's superb. You will notice that when you get the machine, it does have a plastic top. This is by design. If it was metal, it would get extremely hot, and storing things on here would get hot as well. So it's more of a safety feature rather than trying to keep costs down. Because I have burnt myself on other machines which had a metal top, and this plastic just works. The build quality in other areas is great as well. This does feel a little bit thin, but it's designed to be light and to be easy to clean. It's not like we use this section and it affects our coffee, so it doesn't really matter. Other areas which I like is the tamper. It's got a little weight to it, stainless steel on top. I normally tamper down with the same pressure I would use to lightly wipe down the work surface. So a bit of a gentle press, but it all depends on your preference. Like I say, you've got to experiment to get your best cup of coffee. It's all about you. So you've got to experiment to find out what you like the best. Another feature I like about this Sage Barista Express is the fact that you can adjust how much extraction comes out on each extraction. Because I like a large coffee, I like to do a larger extraction. And you can program it to extract more or less depending on your preferences. The extraction process goes hand in hand with the hot water dispenser because not everyone is the same. You might be preparing a coffee for your friends and family, so they might want a little bit more hot water, or a little bit less sometimes. So the combination of the extraction process and the hot water dispenser is a great feature. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. In conclusion, I've been looking for a coffee machine which gives me the best taste for the best price and for the best price of coffee. And I've been searching for this machine for quite a few years now, and I think I found it. I get the barista experience at home. I get the quality I was looking for at the price point that I'm comfortable with. Now, because this machine is quite a bit more expensive than other machines of a different type, let's say, it's more expensive than a filter machine, more expensive than an espresso machine, but this really is a future-proof solution for me. This machine allows me to get the exact taste that I want at the exact amount and in a timely fashion. I can make a cup of coffee at the same speed I can use an espresso machine, but it's also a lot quicker than I could use a filter coffee machine. When you've used this machine for, like I say, 3 months, you will realize that this type of machine is the machine you've really been looking for, and it just gives you the best results. Well, thanks for watching this video. If you did like it, please give me a thumbs up, and please also consider purchasing this machine if you do want to purchase it through my link, which will be on the screen and linked in the description below. It doesn't cost you anything to purchase through my link, but I do get a small kickback from the retailers. I also price compare this to deliver you the best prices, so you get it at a great price from a great retailer, and you're helping me out. So thanks for watching, and please let me know your experiences on this machine in the comments once you do buy it, because I really do think it's a superb machine.